Well, good morning and welcome. This is Mike Harris, broadcasting on Veterans Today Radio Network, as well as on Revolution Radio, www.freedomslips.com, Studio B. And today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2015. And as promised, my guest is Mr. Mehran Keshe. And so before I introduce him, though, I have to give a shout out to Dr. Ilya. She contacted me today. We were talking via Skype. I met her at the opening of the Spaceship Institute at Loom University in Trani, Italy. And for those of you who don't know about Loom University, Loom is an acronym. It stands for Liberia University of the Mediterranean. And that is where Mr. Keshe has just opened, like I said, the Spaceship Institute. So Dr. Ilya, just wanted to say hi to you. It was very nice meeting you. You were charming. You were lovely. And hope to see you again. With that being said, Mr. Keshe, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. Thank you very much, Mike. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well today, doing quite well today. So when I was there, I guess it's been a month ago already, in Trani, Italy, where Loom University is. That was the opening of your new physics department, the Spaceship Institute. Why don't you tell people about it a little bit, and tell them what your purpose is, what your goals are, and how you came to this venture with Loom University.
First of all, as you know, we used to operate institute in northern Italy in Desenzano, and we brought our institute from Desenzano to south of Italy because we were offered a better position in respect to expanding the technology. And now we are there, open over a month ago. We are teaching in a very radical way. It's never been done before. It has become revolutionized the teaching process in a way that we are teaching the edge of science, technology to any man on this planet. You can be a doctor, engineer, a space scientist. You can be a housewife. We are teaching the application and implication of the space technology in respect to food, energy, motion, new materials, ethos of space working, live every day, nearly 5 or 6 hours a day, every Monday to Friday, with a difference that while the students are in the class, other students around the world join us live on camera. We broadcast live every session, and students can interact and ask questions and answered live. So what you didn't understand in a session, say in the morning or a week ago, you can put your question in and it will be answered. If you ask to speak and ask your question in person, you can do. But the classroom session at the highest level, at the space level, is taught to anyone who likes to learn. And this is the difference. We have noticed the director of Sears Aircraft Robotical Space Technology to be one of our students, live online. He introduced himself last week, a couple of weeks ago. And in a way, wanting or approaching or at least talking to work in one way or another, which we offer the door open, that we are prepared to teach and collaborate both ways. And we know space scientists, doctors around the world, we're also housewives, they're all on the line. And it's growing day by day. It's only 4 weeks old, but it's taken a new life. And in so much so that I was asked to just be present in opening a new section of the university in Bari as just to introduce the institute and collaboration between the State University and the institute. Tomorrow we are invited to a bigger function in Rome for a major symposium to disclose the Keshe Foundation findings regarding peace and new technology for space.
But I wanted to thank you personally very much for inviting me to the opening of the Spaceship Institute at Loom University and allowing me, 10, 15 minutes there to speak and to address the crowd. And I want to tell everyone that this university is brand new. It's state of the art. It's got everything you'd ever want in it so far. But it was quite impressive. Let's just say Colonel Jim Hankey and I, who many of you have heard of, another associate of ours from veteranstoday.com, was there with me. He and I flew over together. And Jim also had a chance to, Colonel Hankey had a chance to address the audience as well. And Mr. Keshe, I just want to thank you very much for inviting us both.
You're welcome. I hope we see you in the next meeting in China.
Well, you know what? I've been talking to Armin about that, and Armin's given me some tasks to do here in the U.S. that I have been diligent on, and I need to call him later today, and give him an update on the progress I've made. But that's another subject. So one of the things that I took away from the meetings that took place and the introduction of the physics department, there was many things that were presented there, but two of the things that I found most impressive. The one thing that you said, and you gave to me the first working explanation as to how superconductors perform. It has to do with the GaNs materials, and it has to do with this particular what was a carbon-based GaNs material that you stated acts as both a superconductor if the GaNs are aligned in a horizontal direction, and when they're aligned in a vertical direction, it's a super resistor. And boy, that was one piece of impressive technology, an innovation in material science that will be revolutionary for many, many, many things we do. It's going to completely change electronics as we know it.
In a way, yes, but it has so many different applications. As you know, the same kind of process of science now has entered the fifth stage in Fukushima. The material we have produced, according to the TEPCO, is one of the only materials which is absorbing the calcium and the radiation at the same time, which is part of the problem in Fukushima. And so they have asked for a final test system, which we have sent to them. It starts next Monday, Tuesday, we hope, to not only reduce or extract radiation, but then we have provided them with a simple system to extract the radioactive material from the soil or the water. Structure of the same understanding, but is changing a lot of things in water cleaning and everything else.
Well, let me address that, because Fukushima is what many people and many of our listeners are extremely concerned may be an extinction level event for the world. It's an unmitigated disaster. And in the U.S., what we're seeing off the West Coast here, and I happen to be in a coastal region, one of the coastal states in Oregon right now, what we're seeing here is massive die-offs of starfish, sea lions, sardines, phytoplankton. Everything is dying off. How quickly can this technology that you've developed be implemented in order to stop any further damage before we're too far gone?
The technology now is over a year getting tested in different forms by TEPCO. One of the problems which we had was, as you know, I'm an Iranian nuclear physicist, and because of the problem boycotts, up to now we had, and the Japanese government appointed an intermediary, which intermediary had no clue about nuclear industry. But it was just supposed to be somebody in between that the government could say, we are not talking to any Iranian nuclear physicists. Since the present agreements have moved on with the 5+1, now TEPCO has agreed to speak directly. So in the next cycle of the testing, who most probably will be present online, or they will ask us to join on the ground in TEPCO for the further testing. If it's done the way we suggested and the way we have supplied the material, part of the present loading of nuclear material into the sea, into the ocean, can be stopped literally immediately. It's instantaneous. The process is very cheap, it is not costly, and even yesterday, the guys in China, I asked them to look for a specific kind of plastic that we can put the material in it, and they showed it for the first time yesterday in our part of our teaching. And we can literally implement it at very, very small cost. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, not millions. The property of this new material is very strange, but it took now the Japanese Nuclear Center a year to understand it after a lot of explanation. The problem is, or the beauty with it is, that it does not destroy or get rid of the nuclear material. What it does, it couples with it, which means instead of the radiation going into the water, it locks into the material and it's not radioactive anymore. But when you do the test on it, you still see the material. This has a huge advantage. The advantage with it is you can extract the material when you collect it and literally recycle the nuclear material for the next step.
So you can go ahead and recover all of the lost nuclear material, and then if needed, redeploy it for an energy source again, if that's what they decide to do.
This is part of the structure. They have already done. I developed a totally new material for them, and it was shipped. It's in Tokyo for testing next week. And as I said, for the first time, TEPCO management, Japanese management, has agreed to speak on what you call it, direct line to line. The beauty with it is, as the report from TEPCO says, they manufactured a huge system to extract the cesium. And then it's got clogged up with the calcium. With this material, it absorbs or attracts and absorbs the calcium into the structure. So there is no clogging up, and the reaction of the nuclear material extraction is immediate. The minute you introduce the material, the second you introduce the material into the water, it does its job. It's instant. So it has a lot of application. The Mexican Keshe Foundation group last week, not this week, last Tuesday, showed another application of it, which we tested with TEPCO and others about a year ago. And that is, they took the water from the rivers of the Mexico City, the dirty river, and they introduced a small amount of this water, this material, into the dirty water in a Coca-Cola bottle. If you go on the Keshe Foundation website, Spanish teaching, you will see it. And instantaneously, within a minute or two, all the river residue goes down. It settles. And so this has a huge application in extracting poisons from the water, heavy metals from the water, and a lot of other things. And if you use a specific type of material, then not only you can extract, and if you leave it in the water, you will see the expansion and increase in the oxygen level of the water, which allows the fish to come back in. They are talking to go into the university level to get it tested immediately. And as I said yesterday, I was the guest of the Italian university here because they know they found out what we do. And they have opened a department to give a lot of PhDs, brand new. They showed us all the facilities. They haven't been opened out of the boxes. What they call for environmental cleanup around Italy. And more or less in the coming time, we become part of the structure of this organization because we have the technology and they can deliver it immediately to the nation. So it's not just Fukushima. It's the land of the Fukushima. It's the air pollution in China, in the big cities like Beijing. is the extraction of the poisons from the rivers in China. This is all will come in the next 2 or 3 months to become part of the structure of the reprocessing.
So, what are the chances of remediation and to remove the radiation from the Pacific Ocean? Because the Pacific Ocean is, as you know, it's vast. It's huge.
It's very little. We cannot extract what is already in there. Very, very. You have to understand something. Keshe Foundation and the Spaceship Institute are space technology development. These are new materials. And not only new materials, there are new conditions which we have discovered and now we're implementing. We have asked and shown in the past 12 hours, in the past 24 hours, more 36 hours, new concept in the space technology to our students. And this afternoon, as I was leaving at 6 o'clock, they are set out to see if they can create the first flight through no fuel condition, what we call a star formation, within 7 to 14 days. So, Keshe Foundation has a huge support base around the world. Now it's the race for each group, being the Chinese, the Maltese, or anybody else, who can now be given the key way in creating dynamic plasma in the layers or in dynamic condition of fields to create the first lift without fuel on condition of the weight. So we have entered a new phase in space technology in the past 7 days. And this is in line with what we said. The Keshe Foundation is here to start the world peace process. We announced it last week, and tomorrow the foundation will release a new paper. It's called the Roadmap for Peace, what we call the Peace Roadmap. We have set out our condition last week. Using the new technology, we don't need to use this material as you've seen. The other step is, now we have learned how to produce gravitational magnetic field of any element. We don't need to go to Pacific or Atlantic to look for the material where it is. We have the chance within the next few months, now we are developing the tools of measuring it, to create the gravitational magnetic field of any material on this planet. So you can create the magnet of iron, you can create the magnet of gold, you can create the magnet of radiation, which is within the Pacific Ocean. And as a magnet, you can expand the dimensions to hundreds of kilometers and absorb them back. It sounds like fairy tales, but now we've done it. We have shown it can be done. And now it's just producing systems to measure gravitational magnetic field of different radioactive materials and plasmas, that we can build a system to replicate it exactly to the measure.
Well,
so this is a possibility.
Okay, let's talk a little bit here, because I know that the listeners are eager to understand your work in the gravitational field and or anti-gravitational fields, and your work with plasmas. This is something that I think the listeners would enjoy you talking about, so that they can gain a comprehensive understanding of what it is that you're doing, because this is earth-shattering. This is new technology. This is some stuff that has not been seen by modern man.
What it is, I discovered that gravity and magnetical field, what we call the atmospheric field, are made by the same matters. So I set out to build up new system that it can replicate it. A magnet, which one end is matching the other magnet, we call it gravitate to it, and the other end which repels it. And if you make them dynamic, they make a sphere of themselves. You have a sphere of gravitational ball, and you have a sphere of magnetical ball. So what I've done is I replicated it in a gas reactors with nuclear material. We were blocked by the Western government. Now we developed a new material to do the same. And so, hello?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Just listening. Everything's good. Keep talking.
Yeah. So now we have created 2 or 3 different type of plasmas of the same material, now that they start rotating inside each other. Plasmas are like magnets. It's like Earth. It has a north pole and a south pole, what we call exit real. So when you have a plasma which has got an entry and exit, or what's called north and south, and the next door has a south and north, and is rotating, and the next door has the north and south, part of the north is connected to the south, part of the south connects to the north of the other. So you create gravitation, and a magnetic field, which is repulsion at the same time. So we have learned to create the structure of a planet. We made a copy of Earth now. The system has a gravitational field, and the system has magnetic field and creates its own atmosphere. So this is the breakthrough. No one up to now, no scientist or no scientific organization could understand and replicate the work of the planetary system. As I always said, we saw the bird, we copied it, we got the planes. Now we understand the structure of the planet, how they create magnetic and gravitational. But we've gone one step further. Now, because of the understanding of the knowledge, we've gone into the star formation, which means we understand the work of the stars, how they create such a huge gravitational magnetic field. And now we're starting doing the same without any heat. We work at room temperature. And this is where the major breakthrough has come in. And we can lift from the roof. We have lifted, as you know, Iranian government has shown the Air Force capabilities. Russians have done it with the Navy. And I know in the coming days, there's a huge surprise on the horizon. It's so huge that it will change a lot of things. And as we see our technology opening up, we want to use the technology for the purpose of peace. Because now we know the most advanced ship in American ship was paralyzed by the technology, and we know the most advanced aircraft has been paralyzed by the Iranians 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So what we've done, knowing what this technology is going to bring within the coming weeks, and in a way it's going to make the most advanced technologies in military zero, we have called for a world peace, a roadmap for peace, starting from 21st of June. What we've done and what we announced it last week, and now tomorrow will be published in a hard copy paper across the world by the Keshe Foundation, so every leader, world leader, every religious leader and man can read it, and you can sign yourself to peace according to the ethos of the Keshe Foundation website, that we have set out that from 21st of June this year, which is the next 20 days, more or less, 21st of June is a peace day, which means no firing of guns, no firing of arms, no conflict. We repeat the same thing in July 21st, and we repeat the same thing in August 21st. In September 21st, we allow 2 days of peace. That 21st, 22nd will be the same, September, October, and November. In December, January, and February next year, we allow 3 days of peace, means no conflict, no firing. That we start getting used to, no war zone. And then in March of next year, for 3 months, we go for 7 days of peace. No war for 7 days, no fighting, no conflict, finding a point of peace to appreciate it. And then next June, we go to 14 days, and in September, October, November, 21 days. And then December of 2015, we called it for the World Peace Day, which means no more wars. This is not a talk, because if you understood what we offered, and it's been tested by the Iranians and the Russians, and what we have shown 129 Tesla.
Well, let me go ahead and interject here just to remind the listeners. What Mr. Keshe is referring to here when he talks about the Russians is whenever the Russian jet flew over and they disabled the Aegis destroyer, the USS Donald Cook, and it was completely immobilized. They shut down every electronic system on the ship. It was dead in the water, floating there. And then when the officers got back to port, they all resigned because they said they could no longer carry out their duty to defend their to defend their warship. And this was because of a technology that Mr. Keshe has developed that I've been aware of for a couple years now, and this was really one of the first concrete demonstrations of it. So I just had to interject that, Mr. Keshe, so that the listeners can understand and follow the conversation.
So what it is, because we have the technology, we are giving from 21st of June 3 months to the governments to find a solution for peace in the pattern we set or better. If it's better, we have no objection. If they cannot meet, it has to be demanded as we put down. And to prove that we can, by 21st of September, don't forget we are teaching daily around the world to all the world scientists. People are just literally making reactors every day. Different people from around the world. They're using ping pong balls because it has the same effect as a metal reactor. The size, it doesn't matter. It's 2 centimeter diameter. $25, $50, you can make yourself a system. Then what happens? On 21st of September, we have asked by that date, the governments allocate one satellite anywhere in the space. It can be Russian, American, Chinese, any government. Making sure that if we decommission the satellite, it will be no harm done to no one. And we take that satellite out of action, which means we paralyze it.
Stick with us. We'll be right back, Mr. Keshe. Our first break is here. Well, good morning and welcome back. This is Mike Harris on the Veterans Today Network, as well as Revolution Radio, www.freedomslips.com. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2015. My guest today is Iranian nuclear physicist, Dr. Mehran Keshe. And before we start, we're back with Mr. Keshe. Dr. Ilya she wasn't logged in at the time and missed my hello to her out there. But anyway, hello, Dr. Ilya. Hope you're listening. Hope you're having a good day. Mr. Keshe, welcome back, sir.
Hello, yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and so where did we leave off? Let's take up there, because I think it is an interesting prospect, because we've watched the world for many thousands of years now be constantly at war, constant conflict. And what you're proposing here to finally get the world and get humanity to stop fighting against itself is the most welcome thing I could think of.
What it is what we said, that on the 21st of September, we give, up to 21st of September, we give the governments a chance to start talking about peace and acting about it. No more talk. And if no talk or action doesn't start openly in public, then we ask them to choose any satellite from any nation, American, Russian, Chinese, or whatever, as I said. And then collectively with the Keshe Foundation supporters around the world will paralyze the satellite. Then we'll ask for a most advanced ship, whichever they choose, whichever nation, and aircraft. And we paralyze all three electronically or plasmatically through the magnetic field of the plasma. And then, if they refuse or they don't offer, as Keshe Foundation supporters around the world, we choose, we announce which satellite, we announce which aircraft where and which ship where, and we announce this to the governments. It's going to be done openly. And they can monitor, literally bring in these things as what I said, as a bird, metal bird, or as a bathtubs in the seas. We are not causing any wars. We will not destroy anything. We just have the knowledge to allow the electronic system to feed themselves. Nobody will be harmed. There will be no damage physical. So we are not going into war. We are going into the act of peace through peace action through the new technology.
Well, let me explain something to the listeners here, because I'm aware of what this does. Now, typically on an EMP type device, it'll destroy all of the electronics. But what you're doing is different. All it does is inhibits the electronics from functioning for the period of time that the field is active. So you can take a computer system, expose it to this, it'll shut it down without damaging it. And then once the field is turned off, the computer system will come back up and function again normally. And that's what they did to the USS Donald Cook. And that's how they disabled that Aegis destroyer, which is, believe me, all state-of-the-art electronics. And they disabled it for a period of hours when those Russian jets flew by. And it's a harmless. It can be turned on, it can be turned off with no damage to the electronic systems themselves.
So you explained it in an easy way. So we have the knowledge, we have the technology, and we have the means to deliver it in a number of places around the world at the same time through different supporters of Keshe Foundation. The intention is not to weaken the nations and governments that the people who are wrongdoing will find a way to carry on with their work, like terrorists and the rest. We have served the same thing to them. We have the technology, and we have shown it for the past 10 or 15 years. We can make even the people who carry arms or while they're in conflict not even remembering what they're carrying, why they're fighting for. Because we have created dynamic plasma, we can repeat it, at the plasma of the human amino acid. So we can reach them so easy. And I offered this to you while you were here a few months ago.
Well, that's something that Jim Hankey and I spoke with you about directly, is that how do you take soldiers who are engaged in active combat and pacify them without damaging them so that they lose the will to fight. They don't want to do it anymore. And it really is. It's a very powerful and beautiful set of capabilities to stop the bloodshed.
Yes, now it's not a dream. These are in a practical way. As I said, I've been invited to be present in a major seminar tomorrow in Rome to discuss this proposal by international observers. And because we are part of the structure of the peace through technology, we don't talk, we just act. As you know, and you're trying to do with US, we are trying to further commercialize different aspects of the technology. We're done with the paint pads, we're done with the CO2 kit. Now, yesterday, the guys have shown the balls to clean up the waters, contaminated waters from heavy metals and light contamination. So we are not talkers. We are not, we've gone into the phase of action with delivery, and people are building these reactors. I've seen people are selling it on the internet. The only problem was the loading, how to load it. And now we have taught how to load it. And it is amazing how it can be done and how they are doing it.
Well, Mr. Keshe, let me give a shameless commercial promotion here, because I spoke with Armin about this, and we're going to be importing these paint pads that are being manufactured. And what the paint pad is, it's a nanomaterial, has magnetic and I believe gravitational effects to it, that it's shaped for your lower back. If you have lower back pain, these things work. I gave one to Gordon Duff, I gave one to Colonel Hankey, kept one for myself, gave one to Brett, my producer, and everybody raves about them, about how well they work and how effective they are. And this is the first of many products. There's going to be for the knees, for the shoulders, for the elbows, ankles, feet, everything, so that people who have chronic pain will be able to alleviate the pain via this new technology without resorting to more severe methods like drugs and other typical pain management processes. Mr. Keshe, why don't you explain to the people how this works? Because we're going to be selling these things online here very soon.
You can already buy it online on the Keshe Foundation website for past 3-4 months. The process is, I've been using this in the process of reversing pain for past 10 years, 12 years. And now with the collaboration of the other people around the world, we have brought it into commercialization. How it works is that it works in a plasma condition, using your body as a source to extract fields from the body. It doesn't do anything. because everything in the universe is based on the fields of plasma. Even your pain is created by the plasma condition of the material inside your body. And a pain to be felt, it has to have a, what you call electronic or electron measurement or field that it creates it. So as it's a magnetic field base, these paths link up with it and they literally extract and create a plasmatic condition to elevate, to extract the fields from the body, and the pain disappears. And we've seen this working for inflammation and all sorts. But it has conditions for the certain things you cannot use. But in general, it has shown 90-95% success for all kinds of pains. If you have a continuous pain, it means it has a reason. It's not just temporary inflammation. Then you have to see to it. But for like muscle pain, tissue pain, which is short-term or long-term, that has never been evaluated, you can use it. And now huge numbers has gone into it. I think 5,000-10,000 again is gone this month for order. So it's selling in a way because people are using it and recommending it back onto the others to be done. It's a plasma condition interaction of the fields. It's not a medicine or anything else. It's a scientific structure.
So what other applications? Tell people about the carbon kits and what they do as well, because, like I said, been working with Armin. We're going to be warehousing and distributing these things throughout the U.S. directly from the Keshe Foundation USA. And we're in the process of setting all that up right now. So tell them about the carbon kits and the CO2 kits and what they do.
What happened is, don't forget I'm a nuclear physicist, and I work with the plasma side of nuclear, not on the heavy side. Heavy side is plutonium and uranium and the power stations. On the plasma side, over years of research, and I've written books and patents which have been free to all the governments and public, we have found out that, for example, if you look at the leaf of a tree, a leaf absorbs carbon at night, but we don't have any motors, any magnets in it. But it collects the CO2 in its environment. Looking at the structure of the leaf, I have discovered that the leaf is a nanolayers on two sides. On both sides of the leaf, there are two different types of nanolayers. And because of the difference in nanolayers and the liquid which flows in it, they create a magnetic field, a plasmatic magnetic field, which is equal to gravitational magnetic field of the carbon, CO2. So tree does not put a magnet out and absorb CO2 from the environment. It creates within the structure of the back and the front leaf a field equal to gravitational magnetic field of CO2. So whatever is around it, it absorbs into it. So now we can absorb carbon, CO2, and other things into the leaf as the plant does. So what I've done, I've created a nanolayer and a non-nanolayer. When you put it in a box or outside the box and you fill the box with the salt water, then you create a condition same as a leaf. So now you create a gravitational magnetic field of CO2 and you extract CO2 from the environment into the water and you collect it. And how you collect it, you see it as a white creamish material, which is in a plasma condition. So you extract the CO2 in a plasma condition, exactly like a plant does on the leaf. You always, when you talk to anyone, they say don't sleep under a tree because at night it catches CO2 and it releases oxygen at the day. Now, a tree has found a way, all the leaves around this planet have found a way to create gravitational magnetic field of the CO2 which they can absorb. All we done, we replicated it, and now we're capturing CO2. But the beauty with this CO2 capture is, on top of it, it creates fat, amino acid, which is a food line. In time, we'll show it how to be used. But the CO2 now is not just you collect the CO2. You solve this huge game which is going on at the moment, global warming. You capture the CO2 in the bucket, in the pot which you're selling. And then you use this CO2 for different applications. You can put it in a bowl and put it in the water, contaminated water, to extract contamination. You can put it, we are doing it now, it's live, we show it every day. You know when you were in Kani the big bouquets of flowers which were on the
Yes.
presentation?
Yes, I saw. Yes.
You remember. Those, one has been put in the water, one bunch, and another bunch has been put in the water with this CO2 in it. The CO2 plants they look better than the day when you left. And most of the other plants of the CO2 of a special type have totally all died. The stem of the ones which are in CO2 that are still hard and rigid, and the other side of the other plant, of the other flowers, they're all gone droopy. So you can use it as a system. The way the plant used to extract, create condition to get CO2 in, to create energy for its flowers, now you do it with what you collected. If you go to the next step of CO2, which we thought in past 24 hours, 48 hours, which Arnon will explain to you, if you put this CO2 under a light, normal light, not the LED light, but normal light bulb, you can, first of all, wash this salt out of the CO2. You have a plain CO2, put it on the light, dry it. And then now you have a different material. It's a powder CO2. Then what you can do, put part of CO2 you collected in the liquid from the unit, you put white vinegar on it, in the normal vinegar you buy in the restaurant, in the shop. You will see black stuff at the bottom of the container. This black stuff is the same CO2, but in a nanostructure. Nobody has ever seen. These are new materials. When we speak to the scientists, when they see, they just say this is impossibility to see a gas in a solid state. Now,
let me interject here, because what you're seeing in the black material is monoatomic carbon, I believe, correct?
yes, yes.
Again, that is a new material. No one's ever seen it before.
It's a monomolecular. It's a CO2. It's a molecule in a nanostate singularity as a plasma. So now you have your white stuff in a container. Now you have the dry white stuff, and then you have your nanostable stuff. Those two are in plasma, the white. But this one now is in nanostate, which is singularity as a matter state. Now what you do, you mix the same container as you had your liquid state of. Now you have three states of matter in one container. If you put it in a ping pong ball and rotate it at a very low speed, and then build the speed up, you'll find out your system will start to fly. If you get everything, now you have a first time a fuel which is not a rocket fuel. Because there are three different magnetic field plasmas, they interact and they create the same condition, gravitational magnetic field, as is done by Earth, as is in the sun. So what happened, if the guys get it right, they started this afternoon, we should see for the first time in public systems which can fly without any fuel. Rocket fuel, NASA jet project is finished. NASA knows this years ago when we discussed this with them. They understood. That's why, as I said when you were here, they have written off the shuttle system. But they could not decode the knowledge. Now we are teaching how to do it. It was disclosed for the first time today in the teachings of today. And this is huge breakthrough.
Well, it is. And where can people see this recording? You know, I know that the listeners out there are going to want to go to your site and look at this, because this is what we've all been waiting for. You know, that was one of the things that I spoke about when opening up the Spaceship Institute at Loom University, was that this is an exciting time. This is what many of us have been waiting for our entire lives.
Yeah, what happened, you can go on the Keshe Foundation .org, which is KESHE foundation.org, or you can go to Spaceship Institute.org. To join the Spaceship Institute, at the moment, is €1,000 per year. You can join live on all the teachings for 1 year. That's 9 months a year. We start from 10 o'clock till 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Or you can go to, for example, when you go to Keshe Foundation website, keshefoundation.org, go to the forum of the Keshe Foundation. On the forum, connect to where it says SSI, Knowledge Seekers SSI, and go, for example, to the Spanish yesterday. It says 20 or 30 number, whatever it is, and you click on it. You see the balls, which you explained, just shown. If you click on the week, you see the cleaning of the water. And then on the other side, which is a Knowledge Seekers workshop, we have 62. We haven't missed a single week here for the past 62 weeks. In these workshops, we have slowly shown the whole technology, how it has developed slowly in public. So there you can, the reactor which created 129 Tesla, and this was that Las Almas has used something like 1.4 gigawatt to produce 103 Tesla. We used only 12 watt to create 129 Tesla. Now we're going to repeat it with a much more powerful Teslas in the coming weeks. Maybe I allow it this time to go up to 400, 500 Tesla with less than 12 watts because there's a structure we set up. We don't put the energy. We create a structure that demands the energy in Tesla and the system will deliver. So it's totality. But one thing which is very important, if you go back to what I said at the beginning of this conversation when you spoke about the Atlantic,
yes.
Now that we learned how plants create gravitational magnetic field of CO2 without any magnet inside them, and they absorb it, they attract it, now we have the knowledge to produce the magnet of any entity. The magnet means extracting. In Atlantic, we can create with the new system gravitational magnetic field of any radioactive material. You expand the field, you can collect whatever is in the ocean. You want the gold in the ocean, you can do. In the next 3 months, we put so much knowledge and technology in public that there is no choice but to change the course. We can show, it's already been shown, you saw the gentleman, he was with you, and the Chinese have done the same, making gold out of the water. And they brought the water for us to do it, and in Germany, the gentleman can produce gold anytime he likes, out of inside the water container. So now we are learning the way the universe works. This is not a magic show anymore. The restriction we made for ourselves as humans was that magnet is only metal. But look at the life, look at the structure around you. How do, for example, as I said, leaf attract copper, CO2? How does certain materials attracted by certain fields? How can we produce materials that it can create motion but no energy? Now we're learning step by step everything the way the universe works. And the beauty of it is not done by a number of scientists over hundreds of years. It's all compacted into one lot in one technology. I'm teaching it now every day. Every day you can go from 10 o'clock European time to 5 o'clock we are teaching. It's live. You can go back to every teaching every day you want.
Well, Mr. Keshe, we've got our top of the hour break. We'll be right back in a few minutes, folks, right after this. More with Dr. Mehran Keshe. Stick with us. Be right back. Good afternoon and welcome back. This is Mike Harris on Veterans Today Network as well as www.freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio Studio B. And today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2015. My guest is Mehran Keshe, an Iranian nuclear physicist, and the discussion is about technology which is now being released, disseminated into the world, and commercialized. So, Mr. Keshe, welcome back, sir.
Yes, thank you very much.
Why don't we talk a little bit about the other major issue that you disclosed at the opening of the Spaceship Institute at Loom University, and that was about breakthroughs in the medical field, because this too is a civilization-altering set of technologies. Why don't we talk about that for a bit? The presentations that were done were just fascinating.
What it is, if you understand the work of the plasma and the interaction of the plasma, You understand? It doesn't matter in what state you try to work. In a matter state of the plasma, you call solid, or in a plasma condition that we call GANs in the body of the man. It's all the same. A star as a plasma works the same way. A neutron works the same way. Electron works the same way. It's all plasmas. So once you understand the relationship in one size or one dimension, you can translate the knowledge into another. And then it comes to the point that you understand that the plasma of the body inside the body of the man has working the same as the plasma of an electron or a star or a planet. It's just a different size, but in the same operation. Now that we have understood the work of what we call gas in nano state, what we call the CO2, which you capture in the container, now we took the knowledge in a way that we transfer information into the plasma of the body of a man. And for example, if there is a cancer, we allow the body to understand how to change the matter into a different matter, and the cancer over time disappears. We started cancer research development in June, in next week or two, where we have asked people with a cancer around the world to volunteer. And once we put you on the system is getting developed, it'll take another few days or weeks. Then we can go and change the structure of the cancer in the body through the same understanding. The same as you have a CO2 outside the body, you create a condition inside between the container and you get the CO2 as solid inside. If you understand this, now if you create the reverse of it, if the CO2 is a solid inside the body as a gas, we can take it out as energy from the skin of the man. You don't need to go and intrude to take the cancer cell out. This is demonstration of this is very much with the paint pads, but in a different strength length. So what it means is we create the gravitational magnetic field of, let's say, a tumor in the brain, and you put the system outside. The way, exactly the same way as the matter extracted from the environment, now we make a magnet of the tumor, of this body called amino acid of the brain, and just we transfer it from the matter state inside the body in the cancer state to outside. You can do this with any element. You can do this with poison. You can do this with iron or sugar in the body in any construction you see. So the interaction is out of the question. So what do you need to do? You create a condition. What you saw with the demonstration in Loom when it came from opening, today, a month later, is obsolete. We don't need that because even that is too time consuming. You got to understand something very special and very simple. And that is, when you, let's say you take a tablet, you take a vitamin, you take sugar in your mouth. The minute the sugar enters, passing your throat, it enters a gravitational magnetic field because your body is full of plasmas. Up to now, we thought muscles or tissues are solid, but they're not. They're gases, they're plasmas in different structure. So the material enters the body and becomes in a magnetic field, gravitational field environment. When it goes into your stomach, all it does, the stomach decides to open this matter in a field environment, and then when it goes into your intestine, no sugar crosses your stomach. The energy of the sugar through the gravitational field of the lymph is pulled and is taken as what is needed by the lymph from the walls around the stomach, the intestine. And then it's delivered to wherever it is needed, because when it gets wherever it gets, the nerve, the heart, the blood, which is emotion, and the lymph, in the right condition, transfer that energy of the lymph to iron, to tissue of the heart, to the tissue of the throat, to tissue of your nail or whatever. So in your body, when you eat iron or sugar, you don't deliver sugar block to the point in the body when it's needed. You convert it to its energy, energy is remembered, and then by the lymph, whenever it is needed, converted back to iron which is needed. So now we learn the same process. we create gravitational magnetic field of the material inside the body outside. So brain cancer, heart cancer, what do you call it, breast cancer, all sorts of tumors. Now it's possible to do it without operation. So, and when you do it, this creates a total different kind of health environment. What we showed a month ago, we're developing so rapid, which is obsolete today. Totally obsolete. Because we were going to interact, then we have to interact with every cell. This way we make a magnet of the structure, we attract it out inside as a plasma of cell outside. CO2 outside goes in the leaf, it's become liquid. The same thing when it's liquid, if you can create the right condition, it'll come back as a CO2. But this time you see it as oxygen. Because the body will use the carbon in a different condition and release the oxygen as an energy which in interaction with the environment becomes oxygen. So what happens is that we have understood this process now fully in the past month even, because the technology is developing very rapidly. So we don't expect to do a open heart surgery in the coming time. We understand the structure where the heart has a problem. We deliver the texture, or if it's a blockage, we allow the gravitational magnetic field of the matter in the block or change of the structure from outside. This is on the edge of science. Literally, we'll deliver it within the next 2-3 months. Because we've seen it, we've done it, we understand it better now. As you know, we showed it to you, I think, when you were there.
Yes, yes, you did.
We have managed to produce blood from fresh air.
Well,
and tomorrow, we show it in public, tomorrow in Italy.
One of the comments you made whenever I was there and you were speaking about the medical technology, you said that whenever mankind finally ventures into space, one of the people that they're not going to need to bring is you're not going to have to bring a medical doctor because you've got the technology for the human body to heal itself. Talk a bit about that, because I think that was a very fascinating statement you made.
It's not a statement, because what it is, in a space now we know the structure of the plasma in the body of a man. I explained to the students today, to the knowledge seekers yesterday and today, what it is. This is part of the science which we did not understand. Let's say you have, they say a body of a man, I was explaining today to the students, has equal to 1 nail of iron in it. This 1 nail, if it was atomic, has no size. But if you make a plasma of it, it has a size, it has a volume. And then that's why we have plasma as part of our body, but with a volume. That's why we are soft. Different plasmatic conditions create different materials. Feel, structure of different materials. So in space, now that we learn this, we can detect what is not correct and what is correct. And we understand what is, for example, wrong in the blood or in the body. So we don't carry no doctors and we don't carry no, medicine. We diagnose what the problem is, and in reverse, we give the energy back to the body, or we create a condition that what is wrong inside the body, energy will be retracted. We have shown this in the pain pads in a very effective way. So we are not talking a dream. As you know, I don't know if you know it or not, we have an order for 1 million pads in next month on a regular basis, one in a month.
Yes, so, yes. Armin talked to me about that. I'm aware.
Which way? So what we do, and what we are trying to do, is not everything to come out of China. Is that every nation can produce its own goods. At the same time, we can create a condition that every country has its own university and education structure, that you don't need to go somewhere else. This is part of the structure. You don't need, if you're the last man standing in the space, you don't want to die just because there is no doctor. What happened, as I said when you were here, if the doctor of the craft dies, the rest have to die? No. Now you know how it works, what it is, you can help yourself. This is an end to control by pharmaceutical. This was the biggest nightmare for any pharmaceutical society. If I was you and I should invest in pharmaceutical shares, sell it as fast as you can, get out of the market.
Now that's pretty funny. I'm glad to hear that, because big pharma has you had a dictatorship over a lot of people for many decades now.
Listen, go to the Keshe Foundation teaching, sit in there and listen. You can help yourself out. Millions of people are doing it. We are one of the biggest scientific organizations around the world in numbers that people are listening to on a more or less regular basis. The whole structure is the way we are teaching it that a common man can understand, and a highly qualified man can use it, and the ones who are using it are in fear. As you know, you've been here, we showed for the first time the pictures of it last week in our teaching. Monsanto is finished. Any genetic control of seed is over. You put the seeds you have, which you've been genetically modified, get it before you do anything with it. For 1 or 2 minutes, put in the CO2 you captured. All work of Monsanto is gone to the wall. But if you leave it too long, the seed goes back to its original state. Instead of growing wheat, you grow grass, because that's where the wheat came from.
Well, actually, when I was at your house up in northern Italy there, you showed me wheat that had reverted to a grass.
Yes, because you use the time duration you put the wheat in can change it, because it's magnetic. Don't forget, the change in wheat, grass to wheat, is mutation of what we call evolution. And because everything is plasmatic, so it's the layers of plasma which is gathered on the top. It's like a different jacket. Every time it's mutated, it's put a new jacket. But this jacket is in GANs, it's in the plasma state. So when you put it in a material which itself is in the GANs state, in the plasmatic state, it opens it up. It's like putting a sugar in the hot water. So this is finished. So what I call control of these technologies, food of the man, the medicine of the man, is over. The biggest problem sits with the oil companies.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about next was the energy issues. Let's use this opportunity here to address that right now.
Let me tell you something very, very interesting. Today, as I said, we announced from 21st of June for the first billboard for World Peace Day. If you are a listener, go to Keshe Foundation, sign a peace treaty, and read the roadmap and distribute to as many people as you can. It's going to affect the life of every single man. Let me explain to you what the peace dividend is. When you were here, I explained to you, and you said nobody explains it this way. At the moment, there is a 5+1 peace treaty with Iran. There is a huge push in the Senate and in the House to block it. I tell you, go to the Senate, go to your members of parliament in every shape or form, you call it Senate, upper house, lower house, whatever, and explain to them one thing. Can we see the contracts with the American companies have signed to Iran once the peace treaty comes in? The peace treaty with Iran will bring between 5 to 10 million new jobs into American industry, with off-sides and other sides up to 15 to 20 million new jobs. Which senator is going to block such a motion? No one. This is the green card which Obama is keeping in the back pocket. He will come the number of votes which are going to come out, and who's going to stop it? The House has already lost its majority because the nation will not support it.
Well, as you know, I have been a proponent of normalizing relations with Iran for the last couple of years. I was one of the first people out of the box to say it, that the benefit to the American economy would be overwhelming. We need the jobs, be lower energy cost, people back to work, and the Iranian people would benefit as well because they could buy goods and services that the U.S. could provide to them. And it's time to forget these squabbles of the past, if you will. the whole, the Revolutionary Guard, all that in Iran was a direct result of U.S. interference in Iran back in the 1950s. And it's time to try to undo the damage we've done and like I said, normalize relations. Let's have a normal trade relationship with Iran. Let's do the same with Syria. Let's do the same with Russia. It's time to become a global community instead of a bunch of warring factions. Those times are past.
You know what we stand for, what the Keshe Foundation stands for. One planet,
yes.
one race. So to us, we'll achieve it. We have no problem. What I see from my foundation, the people around it, there are those around us who want to get benefited financially. It's normal with an organization like us. We are commercializing things now ourselves that we control how we feed the finances back into the community. And it's a big difference. So in one way, you will read in the documents to be released tomorrow by the Keshe Foundation regarding the roadmap for peace, that we are looking to one direction, one nation, one planet. But this time we are not talking, we are not a Greenpeace because we have the technology to deliver, we have the technology to enforce peace, we have the technology to take man to the moon with the same technology. And the beauty of it is we're teaching it so deeply, so strongly every day on the net. Today you can join, you can listen from the day one lessons, the other ones can join tomorrow and do the same thing. And you pick up what you like. But there's one big question. This time around, this technology, this knowledge cannot be used to harm another person. No more arms. No more need to produce new arms to kill more.
Well, bravo for that.
This is the beauty of it. This is what the one condition is. No more arms. We open our arms to NASA if they want to come and join. The same with the Russian Space Agency, the same as the Iranian spaceship, and the same to the Chinese. In the coming weeks, you will see a collection of top scientists, ambassadors, world ambassadors will come through the Keshe Foundation doors to sign themselves to peace through new technology and no more arms. Tomorrow, I am meeting some of the most powerful men in this world in respect to this in Italy. And it's amazing how everything is coming together at the same time. Everything's going. It's like the man is getting ready. He had enough of eating fish and chips every day, as we call it. He had enough of blood. The whole thing is, the amazing thing is, all the wars, all the conflicts is only reported in the American news and anybody who's connected with the American news and the British news. You don't hear it on the Japanese television. You don't hear it in Chinese television. All the wars in the West is my bait for the West, by the West, for their own pocket. And now we put an end to it. I don't. The beauty of it is I'm teaching so many people that they will. There is no way you can shut this technology down anymore. You know, the Belgian government is taking action in every form or shape to close us down in different ways, but they don't know the officer who's doing all the damage is already been put on the sacrificing table by the government. He's a rogue officer. He's done everything himself. And then when we open the books, it's going to be very dangerous for those world leaders because world leaders all know how things are happening and are helping each other to stay in power. Now the power is in the people. You don't need any more energy to go and buy. You don't need to create water because we've shown it can be commercialized very rapidly in coming months by the Keshe Foundation. Actually, prototype is already running in China. You don't need to create shelter and you don't need to find fuel because if you handle the CO2 the right way, you have everything you want. And we're showing it and people are showing it every day. So when you don't need fuel, you don't need the water, you don't need the energy because the food you need, you can create the same condition with different kind of gases, copper, CO2, or whatever, what we call GANs, the solid state of CO2 as a gas nano state. And you have your food, the water you drink is the energy you need. There is no more payment to governments. Then the governments have to become correct.
And there's also no more payment to private corporations like ExxonMobil or any of these other oil companies out there. Those days are over. Why don't you talk a little bit about the technology behind energy generation? Because I know people want to hear about that.
What happened? We have different type of energy system which is now getting tested and run. We released one today for those who understood how to use a combination of matters in the plasma. We, at the moment, in next week or two, Arvin, as you know, in what do you call it, China, they are producing, and they have all the materials. I show them how, that you can have diodes which can last a lifetime. They create light through the structure of the new material. The new energy systems can produce energy as much as you like, to light up as many things as you like, and then you can convert it the plasma energy into electrical current energy as much as you like. There is a very big fundamental point. Electron vibration, what you call current, is at the bottom of scale of the gravitational magnetic field energy. You collect the peanuts. Now we have learned to collect the principle, energy of the principle, interaction of the energy of the principle. So a very little plasma is needed to create megawatts of energy. And as of yesterday and today and this week, I'm teaching very heavily how to do it. Today we finished 4:30 and the knowledge seekers were in the lab trying to test the first reactors we can move and hopefully can create energy once they understand how to do it. They make presentation in a very, very rapid way around the world through different people. But what they're going to come out is the broad peace map, which is what the roadmap for peace will change and bring Keshe Foundation exactly what we did with the peace treaty. We gave the technology to the government in a USB stick over 2 years ago for them to share it with the people. They didn't do. Then Taiwanese went to public, we released it worldwide. Now, we are not waiting for governments. Governments, as far as we're concerned, are finished. There is no more leadership. When I'm correct in my conduct, I don't need anybody to tell me. I don't need no religious leader to tell me what is right and wrong, how it benefits him to play with the children. It's finished. Religious leadership, any line of religion, any kind of religion is finished because they have failed to deliver the promised peace and prosperity of man. So we have done it. It's finished. So what we're doing, we're teaching man to have what he needs at the point of need without the greed. Because at the beginning it was frenzy. They want everything. They want all the gold. But you can have much gold as you like. You can make 10 kilos. When I have 10 kilos, you have 10 kilos. Gold has no value anymore. When I have 20 kilo of meat in my freezer and you have 20 kilo of meat in your freezer, you don't want to sell it to me and I don't want to buy it. So we have taken value out of commodities which the body of the man and the soul of man in different names by governments as leaders and by the priests and the God knows mullahs and the rest in the house of worship have been abused. One abused the physicality, the other abused the soul of the man. Now it's finished with. We know, we understand you are correct. You don't need to confess to no one. Confession is the line of weakness of the man which is fully explored. It's finished. So you live a good life. You live a conduct correct. You do not harm no one. You don't overuse. And so you govern yourself. In a space, there are no leaders. In space is equality because everybody lives on one base correct. I have what I need when I need. What's the use of stealing? You steal when you don't have. And we are teaching how to have things in any shape or form you like. It's so simple. When Einstein wrote a paper, and then other people corrected when somebody gave him a paper, that you can see the gas in a solid state as 100, because it's 200 and whatever, 195 degrees below zero. And now we have produced the gas in a solid state. You can see that the room temperature and pressure, you do it yourself in your box. Who are you going to believe? The lies of the scientists who were there by name or your own eyes and trust of what you can do. It's a new science. It's the way the universe works. So you follow it. You don't need nobody to tell you what is right and wrong. The Chinese made a beautiful video. A 5-year-old child is doing it in the kitchen. So you can see how easy it is.
Well, it is, and it's true, and I've been there. And as Mr. Keshe said earlier, I met the Chinese guy who made the gold in his uh, with his experiment. I met the German guy who also did the same thing. They were all there. I met many of the knowledge seekers who Mr. Keshe had been working with and training over the past number of years. Okay, I hear a break music coming up. Mr. Keshe will be right back in a couple of minutes. Folks, stick with us for the final half hour here with Mr. Dr. Mehran Keshe. We'll be right back. Good afternoon. Welcome back. This is Mike Harris broadcasting on Veterans Today Network, as well as www.freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio Studio B. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2015. And my guest today is Dr. Mehran Keshe. Mr. Keshe, welcome back, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening.
Well, it's afternoon for me. It's evening for you. So we've got about 30 minutes left. Would you like to try to explain to the listeners what the plasma it is? Because your concept of plasma is different than what a conventional physicist will say.
The way we explain plasma is an entity which has a structure to hold on to what it has, we call it gravity, and at the same time a structure to protect what it has, to hold on to and protect it. And once you have this structure, you're a plasma. Earth is a plasma. It's got gravity that all of us hold on, and it holds all of us. And it's got gravitational magnetical field, which magnetical field, what we call the atmosphere, protects us. So it doesn't lose whatever it has. At the same time, what it has, in conjunction with the other fields in its environment, finds to protect what it's holding on to. So it has both magnetical and gravitational, attracting and at the same time creating a field to protect it. So this is a plasma. Electron is a plasma. A proton is a plasma. A sun is a plasma. Earth is a plasma. So if we take that the structure is just the amount of magnetic field inside it, which decides the size of the plasma. The bigger mass, the more of the same. The bigger the size, the more of the same. So to me, this is a plasma. It's very much, as I always explain, is to understand in the world of magnet, we deal with, and we've been taught all the time, to look at a flat magnet. And this is the wrong thing. One of the first things they teach us in the school is they put a magnet, they show south and north. If we take this out of the teaching and put a sphere with exit and entry, everybody will understand the plasma straight away.
Well, Mr. Keshe, that takes us straight back to what you talked about, emulating what the Earth is. Because if you look at the Earth, round sphere, and you look at the north and south pole where the magnetic fields converge, that's a very similar structure as to what you're describing here with this GANS material and the plasmas themselves, correct?
That's exactly what a GANS is. A plasma. It's a miniature Earth. It's a miniature sun. That's all it is. A piece of bread, a loaf of bread, is a loaf of bread. Depends if you cut it for one person, two persons, or three persons. You want one thinner slice or one thicker slice. That still is a bread. It hasn't changed its entity. I always say, if one day we rewrite all the physics books, which start about magnets, and instead of that, straight magnet, put a sphere in from the first day, every child does not need to be re-educated. Every child will understand what the plasma is. Because now that we've shown the magnet in a straight piece, now for him to understand it could be a ball as well is a huge problem. It's a small correction, but it puts everything right from the beginning. But we've been taught that way because we didn't understand it before. And even if you look, we call the magnet north and south because on Earth we call it the North Pole and the South Pole. If you call it exit, which is the North Pole, and the entry, the South Pole, whether it goes out, it has to come back in. So it makes the sphere of itself. And because it's dynamic, it rotates, it makes the object spherical. That's why every object in the universe is spherical. You don't see a cigar, a star, do you? Have you ever seen?
No, you don't. You're correct. Every star is spherical in shape. Every planet is spherical in shape. The only exception out there would be some odds and ends asteroids and things.
Asteroids, and those are matter state solidification of the material in a gas state. And those are not. And if they stay long enough in the sphere, in the atmosphere of the solar system, they will gather inertia, they gather material, and then they become the center of another star, another planet, or a moon. Now we understand the whole structure. This is, for example, what I was teaching today. If you look outside, go outside in the space, just look at the sky tonight. You look at it, always so many stars. How come we see some, how come we don't see some? Today I explained that most of the stars you think they are stars, they're all mirror stars. And you can say it yourself. Go and look at the moon tonight. Look in the sky tonight. You see a very bright star. And follow the distance from it. You find two stars which are light, but they're in a straight line in respect to the center of the star, which means they're like a funnel. The head of the funnel, the nozzle end is the brightest star, and the weak stars in the back, in the weaker, in the two ends of the funnel, are the shadows of it. And in the space technology, the people who understood the work of the star formation in the universe, they use these for transportation. So you look at the sky, you see 3 to 6 stars, but in fact there's only one star. The rest are all shadows of it. Go back into the Keshe Foundation Health Technology section and look at one of the health sections when a needle is shown has been nano-coated. When you put light on it, you don't see a dark shadow. You see a green shadow and you see a yellow shadow because the needle was made of copper nano-coated. The green shadow is the gas of it on its cover, and the copper color is the reflection of the light through the holes of the nanomaterial which reflects back. Normally, when you put a light on a normal matter, you see a dark shadow in the back. Not with nanomaterials, not when it's a gas state. And that's why it's the same with a star. When the light from the center of the galaxy or light from another side of the universe, from another star, shines on this star, it creates two shadows. It's like when you have two mirrors and you look, you see a lot of repeat of yourself. So then you understand the world of science is totally different. I explained this today in the teachings.
Well, you also showed the photographs of the needle that was copper GaNs coated. I remember seeing that at the opening of the university there. But let me ask a question. So the number of stars we see is what? 1/3 less than what? No, let me rephrase that. The number of stars that exist is 1/3 less than what we see.
Maybe even more, because you see the biggest star, which is reflection from one star or from another light in one side. But don't forget, the light just doesn't come from one side on the star. There are other stars which are shining, other galaxies which are shining the same. So now, if you have two stars, or one star being shone by two more stronger stars, it creates four. Two on one side and two on the other side, depending on the point of view of the observer. This is even NASA can confirm it, because they see it as a light, so it's there. You can go on the health section about 4 or 5 weeks ago, look at how a needle has two lights, two shadows, different colors. The best indication of it is you see a brighter star, look back into the funnel, you see where you find two stars in line with each other in respect to the top of it's like a triangle. The top of the triangle sits the real star, and the two end of the triangle sits two shadows. And then it can repeat itself a number of times. And then when you go into the space technology travel, you don't want to travel to a mirage, do you? You have to know which one is real. And I've been teaching this today in the teachings. And then you find out a lot of things about the structure of the man.
Well, you will. Let's talk about transportation. How are we going to travel? The way I look at this, and if I look at your work holistically, you're putting together all of the technologies that are going to be needed to not just build a spacecraft that can travel between the stars, but everything you need to sustain a crew and really essentially never come back if you found a suitable place. You're putting in one package everything. So how are we going to transport ourselves between the stars? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Very simple. If you understood the work of the leaf and the CO2, it means the leaf of a tree has managed to create a gravitational magnetic field that can absorb the CO2 from its environment. Now that we know how to create gravity and magnetic field, let's say of the moon, in the side of a reactor, you don't need to burn the fuel. You match your field to the field of the moon. The bigger magnet pulls a little planet, the craft. So you travel at much higher speed without any resistance because you've got a protection atmospheric around it. And you're there more or less, depending on which field strength of the moon you decide, pulls you to itself. I go to a fallacy, if it makes sense to you, because you have been brought up with this fallacy, that the pull of the moon moves the levels of the sea, high tide and low tide. If the moon has such a strength to pull the waters of this planet, then if you create a gravitational magnetic field of it in a reactor attached to your car will land on the moon in no time. So we have learned not only to create gravitational field of the gas, now we are learning how to create gravitational magnetic field of any point in the universe. You don't burn the fuel. Not a single thing. In all the reactors we've been running for months and years, when we open the reactor, the same material is inside it. We don't burn any fuel because we use the magnetic gravitational field to find position. It's very much, if you put two magnets of similar pole together, you can't bring them together. When you let them go, they find a space from each other in a standard position. This is their magnetical. If you turn one of the magnets the other way, it gets pulled in. That's gravitation. Now we have learned how to create the gravity and how to create the magnetical. So I create the gravitational magnetic field of the moon. That's all I need to do. The rest is done by the moon itself, by the field's flow, instantaneous. All this wearing of the spacesuits from NASA is all joke of the past. We'll laugh at these in the next 2 or 3 years. How did we accept this going into the pool 7 years to get trained to become astronauts? As you know, I told you before, do you go to the airport, get trained for a month or 2 months before you get on a jetliner? Because you create a gravitational magnetic field of the Earth with compression. Now we create a gravitational magnetic field natural way by the magnetic field, the way it's done by Earth. You travel in a normal condition, normal astronaut. So every single person is ready to go to space.
Well, you don't need. I remember you and I had a discussion about this in person, but I want to share this with the listeners. What type of speeds are we talking about for interstellar travel?
Millions of times the speed of light. Because it depends what strength you choose from the magnetic field strength. So it's irrelevant. Because when you're such a small weight compared to the total mass of, let's say, a planet or a star, it's just, a fly in the hand of an eagle, or even bigger. It just gets attracted, it just pulls. The limitation is how fast you want to go, because plasma, as you go to the center of it, gets stronger. because the source spreads outward. So when you go towards the center, it gets pulled in, it gets stronger. So as you go out, you want to go faster, you use a field of the more center of the plasma. So you tune to the stronger field of the point of destination. You can go in 10 minutes, you can go in 10 seconds, depends which field of strength you use. You do it with a magnet, but when it comes to plasma, you think you go and buy a weak magnet and you get a strong magnet and you say, oh, it just pulls it. It's the same condition. But this time, instead of buying a flat magnet or a rectangular magnet, you start buying yourself a circular magnet, a ring magnet. And then don't flat it on the table, put it on its side to stand up, and then you understand the whole industry of the plasma.
Well, you actually showed me that in your laboratory up in northern Italy when I was there in December, right before Christmas. I remember you pulled out a magnet about the size of a quarter with a hole in the center of it, a round flat magnet. Yeah. So really, Mr. Keshe, what I want the listeners to understand mostly is that everything you've learned about physics and chemistry is wrong. I mean, it's sad to say, but there's so much of it is wrong.
No. It depends. You learn about the chemistry of state of the plasma as matter, or you learn the state of interaction as a plasma of the matter. What you learn is matter because you could convince yourself it exists. But if you go in the body of a man, it's not. The body of the man is the best vacuum that even that open space of the universe, because it's compacted itself that nothing can go in. This is a strange to a lot of people when they hear it. When you have the skin of the man, you put needles in it, you cut pieces of it, immediately seals itself to vacuum condition. It's the most beautiful vacuum system. Just because you got a mouth, your mouth is a tube in the middle of a sausage, has no connection with the internal part. You got the mouth and you got the anus, and it goes right through it. Nothing else. It has no holes to leak everywhere. It transfers energy across it the way the energy of the sun transfers across the plasma of the Earth gravitational magnetic, what we call is the atmosphere, back to us. So we radiate out. We don't go through it. You don't find pieces of sun landing on top of us. The fields of it penetrate through the field of the strength of the magnetism, Earth gravitational magnetic. The same thing happens in your body. So your body is one of the most beautiful vacuum system. And when you're in a vacuum system, everything works as a plasma, not as a matter. And then if you understand this, life is a game for any scientist. When you take a piece of meat, this is what I was explaining today or yesterday in the teachings. When you take a blood, as long as the blood is inside the body, it behaves as a plasma. When you take it out, now it had to stand the condition of atmospheric condition of this planet. It behaves as a matter in gravitational state of this plasma of the Earth. So now you test blood in a matter state. But in fact, the blood behaves as a plasma inside the body. There is no relationship. That's why most of the medicine fails. That's why you reject body in transplantation. When you do a transplant, if you do the transplant in a vacuum condition of the body, no plasma should reject. But you cut the body, you take a piece out, you condition the edge of it to the matter state, and then you try to collect it to a plasma. You find difficulties. Sometimes succeeds. So what you put a lot of chemicals in it to change the condition. This is what has not been understood by the world of medicine. Everything works in a state of plasma except in the environment of the gravitational magnetic field of openness, what we call the atmosphere. And then you find out what the way we teach is as normal as ABC. It's just that we didn't understand, we denied their existence. As I said, the Belgian government now is trying to get me to court that is practicing medicine and fraud and the rest of it. But the stupid guy doesn't understand that what he's made of. Because what it is, as you know, is getting very hot, the temperature with the Belgian government. Very soon the King of Belgium will have been taken to the Court of Europe for raping and killing 50 children. It's a without a doubt. Why is the American government hiding its documents? Why the French government hiding the documents? Because it claimed political immunity. A man who murders, doesn't matter who it is. Because now we can get his blood tested in a cancer state and prove he's a sperm in every child he killed. You go for Saddam Hussein, not the king of Belgium, who's killed so many children. We can prove it without doubt. I can now do it remote. I can get, he doesn't want to give blood. I don't care. I can take it from him in the condition of the plasma and prove it with what sits in the court of France. Because the body leaves a magnetic gravitational field fingerprint.
And everyone is unique. Yeah.
But everyone is unique.
Yes. Well, anyway, Mr. Keshe, we're coming down. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left on the show. I'd like to give you the chance, without me questioning you, what message do you want to leave the listeners with? We've got many, many listeners out there, and this is your chance. What do you want them to take home with them? What do you want them to remember about this discussion?
Use what we discussed to start creating world peace through the new knowledge. New knowledge should be new life, new cycle, new opportunity, new opening. We started from tomorrow. Go on the Keshe Foundation, listen to the Spaceship Institute programs, listen to the Knowledge Seekers programs, and understand how correct we are in our work. And what we are doing, we'll show it. From 21st of June, push your government, yourself, even with your wife, even with your child. I'm going to be at peace with my child on 21st of June. I'm going to be at peace with my son who I have so much conflict with on 21st of June, 21st of July, 21st of August. You start finding you love the child, you don't hate it. It's the same with the rest of humanity. It's the same with the rest of the nations and races. And why do you want to fight your child? Every child on this planet is your child. What's the difference? It's a different color, it speaks different language. You are foreign to them as much as they are to you. So we start 21st of June with one thing, peace at home. Peace amongst the man-made nations. We repeat it again in 21st of July and August. You read the roadmap. Roadmap for peace is the line for life.
And let's point out that the 21st of June is also the equinox. No, actually it's the solstice. It's when it's the longest day of the year. It's when we change from spring into summer. It's the halfway mark, and so it's a very significant date.
Why do you think we chose it?
I know why you chose it. That's exactly why.
It's a good day if the summer is the time to have life, new life, and a beautiful life. Why not for the whole human race?
Why not? I think we're overdue. I think this is something that humanity has waited a long time for, and I think that we deserve to move our race up to the next level, so that we no longer have to struggle and fight amongst ourselves as we have for millennia. It's time to leave that paradigm behind, and it's time to move out among the stars.
Why not? You're quite welcome. The next ship is ready. You got to build it.
Well, that's one of the things I'm tracking very, very carefully, and this is something that is very near and dear to my heart. This is something that I have dreamt about since I was a small child, is getting out among the stars.
Armand will build you the first, what do you call it, craft.
Well, Armand is a very talented young man. I really like him, but I need to call him later today and follow up on some things. Mr. Keshe, we're almost out of time. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to join us today, and thank you for explaining the progress you've made. If people wanted to attend your classes at Loom University, what do they have to do?
Don't leave your nation. Don't leave your home. Don't create despair. Life is not worth it. If we are here to serve humanity, why should we sacrifice our families and the rest? We bring in the knowledge to you at home. Go on a Spaceship Institute, register yourself, learn the technology at home and use it at home. Make a system for your friends and family that they find peace as well. And if I can manage to do with one person who understand I can bring peace in the family, I've served my purpose, I always say. So don't need to go anywhere. We have brought the knowledge to your home. You watch all these killing movies, watch the movies of knowledge, how to gain it, and how to use it to help each other. That's all.
Well, very well stated, and they can access your website. Should they go to the spaceshipinstitute.org or should they go to keshefoundation.org? Which one is your...
Keshe Foundation is if you want to learn open teachings. What we do 2 days a week, we do open teaching, what we call workshops worldwide.